out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let's hear it. Root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. But it's one who respect around and behold, holding. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let's hear it. Root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. But it's one who...
Hi, folks. Talkin Baseball is back. This is season 10, if you can believe it.
Yes.
And episode 6. And this is our 83rd show.
Can you believe the 80? So for 83 hours, you can binge watch this on YouTube because it is available on YouTube.
Right.
And 83 hours. It's well worth your investment. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a better way to spend 83 hours of your hard-earned time than watching us.
I'm Pete Lincoln, and this is Jason Smith. And here's a little-known fact for you fans. We total 130 years of age. And we spent 110 of those watching baseball games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Imagine how much golf we could have played in that time.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine.
Imagine how many holes we would have filled in there. So,
we would still suck.
Yeah, I'd still be really terrible, but who cares? But again, folks, I still got the green kicking in, so this will be gone next time. But hence the hat. So I look like I actually have a head in front of the green screen today, folks.
And our show today is from the new studio in the back of the Passios building.
Yes.
And our crew, Dan Seminator, is jack of all trades with every aspect of this show.
Yes.
John Dexter is the sound, and Debbie the truck keeps us in line.
Yes, the studio in the former art room at TC Passios, for those of you who are locals and may have attended school here.
I don't think you could tell by this.
No, I can't really. There's nothing art about this.
There was
now.
no green screen in those days.
No, not at all.
Well, again, we have to start a show with some sad news.
Of course, yes.
Once again.
Yeah,
we lost a Hall of Famer and a Red Sox one-year player who was outstanding, Orlando Cepeda.
Orlando Cepeda. He was the first DH for the Red Sox in 1973, the first year they brought the DH into the big leagues. And they signed him. He was past his prime, but he still had one really good year left with the Red Sox when he didn't have to play the field. And he went to the Royals after that, very briefly, and then retired.
But in '73, he was the first player to sign as a full-time DH.
Yes.
First one.
Yep, first one.
And he won the DH award that year.
Right. Yep. The Sox chose wisely that year. But,
he hit .289 with 20 home runs. Had a pretty good season.
He did, and that was still in sort of the pitcher's era too. So 289-20 was a solid season.
And had a terrific career. He's in the Hall of Fame. Was put in by the Veterans Committee. He was the MVP of the league in 1967. And what's ironic about that is he played the Red Sox in the World Series and went 3 for 29.
Yeah, he had a bad series. Yeah, it does happen though. Small sample size, as we say. So,
it's kind of funny because that's when we lost to them.
Right. Yeah, but it wasn't because of him.
No, it was because of Bob Gibson.
Bob
and that
Gibson,
was it.
yes. Yeah, right.
Couldn't beat that sucker.
Right.
Died 10 days after Willie Mays, his teammate.
Right.
Amazing.
Just after our last show.
Yep.
Yes.
He was in 11 All-Star games, and he was the first player ever to hit 20 home runs with 4 different teams.
That's an accomplishment. That's a good little
that
trivia
interesting
bit right
stat there?
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, and I think that's maybe why he had to wait for the Veterans Committee, because as always, players who kind of bounce around always have a harder time getting elected, rather than a Jeter or who was with one team his whole career. When you bounce around, you don't get quite the notoriety that you do.
And you don't get quite the attention because you're with this team, this league, this team, this league.
Well, 11 All-Star games was probably with the 4 different teams, wasn't it? I believe it was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he made it with the Red Sox.
No, I think he did it with
and he certainly didn't make it with the Royals.
No, not the Royals, no. But yeah, we need to stop doing these RIPs at the beginning of these shows.
Well, we've been following baseball since 1950, and that's what happens.
It does, yeah. Your heroes.
Now, on a bright note for Red Sox fans, Yogi Berra used to say, "It ain't over till it's over."
Till it's over.
You know, at the end of a basketball game, sometimes they'll just dribble around and waste time.
Right.
Football, they'll take a knee.
Yeah.
And
Hockey, they'll kind of skate around a little bit for a while.
But baseball, with one strike left, a game happened on, let's see what the date was.
It was July 5th.
It was
July
the day
5th.
after the holiday. Day after the holiday. The Red Sox were playing the Yankees at Yankee Stadium.
In Yankee Stadium.
At Yankee Stadium. And it was 3-1 going into the top of the ninth inning. There were 2 outs.
2 outs.
And D. Smith.
Dom Smith
came up.
Clutch signal.
He had 2 strikes first.
Did, yes.
So the Yankees were within one strike of winning 3-1. Dom Smith rolled a ball through the infield for a hit, and up crept Yoshida.
Yes, or climbed in, as Dave O'Brien would say. He climbed in the box.
No, he didn't climb. Now, Yoshida has hit 3 home runs all year, has not had a good season, and Holmes was pitching, and Holmes is a all-star.
He made the all-star team as
team
closer.
Yes, closer.
Yes. So he's very good.
He threw 6 pitches. They were all strikes, all fouled off. So again, he's down to one pitch away from a 3-1 win. And all of a sudden, this happened.
Here you go.
And the 3-2. Deep to right field. Going back Soto. Track, wall, tie game. A 2-out, 2-run home run in the 9th inning. And the Red Sox have tied it up at 3.
Sometimes, Joe, when you have to throw a strike, you kind of aim it, and you lose the movement, you lose the velocity.
Yeah, Wells is set up middle away, hoping that he aims it right at his chest, and it goes off the plate. High fly ball, deep center. Grisham back on the track at the wall, gone. A 2-run home run, and the Red Sox lead 5-3.
Yeah, head down out of the box, but this is the play before that has really quieted the crowd. A 2-run homer, dead center field.
Amazing, he knew he got it right from the beginning.
And there it is.
And so not only did he tie the game and sending the Yankee Stadium into dead silence,
complete silence.
But then they had to go extra innings with the ghost runner.
Right, of course.
So they put up a ghost runner, and up stepped
came?
Rafaela, and the first pitch, boom.
There it goes.
And they shut him out in the last of the 10th. So the Sox were within one strike about 7 times.
Yeah.
And won the game.
That's a theme. Where have I heard that before? Red Sox history, 1 strike. Okay, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there at all.
We had to show this because during this past month, this was a game that you sat back and say, boy, this stunk.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what the hell?
Yeah.
And Yoshida's home run was blasted.
Oh, it was crushed. It was crushed. But yeah, baseball's never over. How many times have we seen a 9th inning comeback or some weird thing happens? Or unfortunately, the Sox came out on the short end against the Rockies the other night, but it was back and forth. They tied in the 10th.
It's just the concept. It's never over till it's over.
Never over, absolutely.
And even if it is over, something could still happen remarkably.
Of course.
Like Sox just got crushed by Colorado, but Duran got a triple in the 9th inning, which is cool.
Right.
You know.
Right.
All right. We've been featuring the truck.
The truck.
And I'm not sure that all you people out there watched all our shows. Let me explain just for a second what the truck is. In all the major sports stadiums that telecast games, there is a truck outside that monitors all the cameras and speaks to the announcers. And they're responsible to keep the flow of the game nice and even.
The announcers have an earpiece in here.
It's quite a job. We've been in the NECN truck at Fenway, and there's 9 or 10 monitors going on, and someone's responsible from switching to camera to camera to camera, or feeding information, or when to do ads. So we have our own truck. And it's our producer, Debbie Lincoln, is the truck.
Yes.
So she is taking on a task of trying to teach people about new rules of baseball that not everyone would know.
Right. Oddities.
Well, yeah, okay. Oddities. Baseball has it has more rules than this town does in its charter.
Yeah.
Many more. So what happens is she's also going to ask us to identify players from the 50s and the 80s. Because
Our chosen decades.
our chosen decade.
Hello out there in baseball land, you fans. The truck is back with another baseball rules question. Now, everybody knows that a batted ball that bounces into the stands is a ground rule double. But what if the ball strikes an outfielder's body and then bounces into the stands? What is the ruling? Let's watch this video and find out.
High fly ball, right field deep. Canseco back to the track, looking out. It is off his head, it looked like, and over the top. A home run. That looked like it hit Canseco on the top of the head. We'll have to check the replay, but it did. It went over the fence. David Hull's laughing out there, so it must hit something funny. It either hit his head or his shoulder. Let's take a look at it. Martinez's 4th home run of the year. And Canseco goes back to the wall. He looks like he's checking the wall. He's checking the ball. Checking the wall and the ball. Reaches up. Hits him right in the head. He goes over the top.
It hit Canseco in the head and bounced over the wall for a homer. Look at this. Boink. And it's out of here.
No wonder David Hulse was laughing when he went over there. Jose, you've hit a lot of home runs. You did a lot of great things, but that shot will live forever.
It's a home run, and in this case, a somewhat embarrassing call. All right, now on to the quiz for the boys. This time, they are socks that are infielders from the 1950s and the 1980s. Play along at home and see if you can identify them. And if you can, good for you. And always remember to keep on trucking.
Now we'll see the players that she's identified.
Oh, okay. I know who that is. That's definitely, I'm pretty sure I know who that is from the 80s.
Okay.
And there's your guy from the 50s right there.
Okay. So you folks at home, see if you can figure out who they are, and the answer will be given at the end of the show.
Yes.
And see if we can.
You can play along at home if
see
you,
if
if you know
the
these
truck
people.
could truck us.
Yes, the truck could stump us. Yeah, see if the truck could stump us.
Another feature we've had on our show for quite a while now is what we call tidbits.
Yes, oddities. Again.
You know, baseball. Every other game, something happens that's never happened
Right,
before,
of course, yeah.
or that's different, or that's a record of some sort. So as we're watching the game, we jump on tidbit.
Tidbit. We text each other and say, "Hey, look at this."
I go running back to the room to put it in my notes.
Right.
So we'll start out with, I think we got 8 tidbits.
8
this
tidbits.
time.
Yes. Yeah.
The first one's kind of a negative one. On June 28th, the Padres scored 9 runs in the 5th inning against us, and it's the most runs in one inning any National League team has ever scored against the Red Sox.
Right.
Since ever.
And the weird thing is that was the only inning they scored the runs,
That's right.
which I think that was close to a record too, was all the scoring in one inning. I think that had only been topped once or twice. So, yeah, that was a bad one. But,
And that's including World Series play.
of course, right. Yeah, of course.
9 runs in one inning, most ever by a National League team against Boston.
Yeah. So that was bad. But a good one was July 6th, Garrett Cole, who was crushed again last night, so I thought I'd throw that in there. Money well spent by the Yankees.
He's pitching last night because we're playing the Yankees tomorrow, and he doesn't want to go against what happens. Jake's about to
Right,
explain
yeah.
to you.
So if you've noticed, if you've been watching the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, you know that Rafael Devers has always hit Garrett Cole very well. Extremely. It's just one of those things where he sees a pitcher well for some reason. And he hit another homer off Cole last series. He has 4 more homers than anyone else against Garrett Cole in his whole career.
He has 8 home runs.
8 home runs against one guy. Nobody else has more than 4.
Against one of the best pitchers in the league.
So let's hope he does it again this weekend. Let's see.
Okay, then on July 9th, Bayo, who I still can't figure out as a pitcher.
I cannot either.
He did something very, very weird. The first 10 outs of the game, not the first 10 batters, but the first 10 outs of the game were all strikeouts.
Right. And he had a couple of runs that he gave up mixed in there.
But
all the
of
outs
the outs he gave through 3 1/3 innings were all strikeouts. That's a Red Sox record.
And I think
It's never happened.
I think the only person who beat that is Randy Johnson. I think they said he had 12 to start one game, which I'm not surprised.
This isn't the start of the game.
Right,
though.
it was all the outs.
It's the outs
Yeah,
that
all
occurred.
the outs. Yeah, Randy Johnson got 12
It
before.
was weird. It'd be a double, walk,
Strikeout. Walk. Strikeout. Homer. Strikeout. Walk. Strikeout. So, and actually in that same game, all 9 Red Sox starters got a hit and scored a run in the first 2 innings.
That's amazing.
It's the first time that's happened since 2003 when they got 14 runs in the first inning against the Marlins, if you remember that game.
And folks, guess who was at that game? We were.
Yes, that's right. 14 runs in the first inning.
And if you remember what happened in that game, the manager went over to the Marlins and apologized. Apologized for embarrassing them.
Oh God!
This is a pro game, folks.
This
This isn't T-ball.
Just a little aside, that was something that drove me crazy about Grady Little. Now, if you remember, the Sox won 24-5, I think it was, or 25-4, whatever the final was. The next game, they were ahead 9-2 in the 7th inning. And I saw Grady in the dugout doing this, meaning to slow down. What happens? The Marlins get 4 in the 8th, and Mike Lowell hits a grand slam. The Marlins win 10-9. You never, ever slow down, Grady. You never slow down. It's a professional game. You pile it on, baby. That was one there.
The next one was, once again, Nick Pivetta on July 10th struck out 8 straight batters. He did it earlier in the season. And it ties what Roger Clemens did on April 29th of 1986.
Yes.
So he did it again, and again, he lost the game.
Yeah. And again, who was there at Clemens' game? We were.
Yes, that's right.
See, we pepper ourselves through these events, don't we?
It's weird, though. Pivetta has done it twice in a row and lost both games.
Yeah, but that lost both
So
times.
strikeouts aren't necessarily going to put you over the top.
Right. So this is something that is sort of related to the Red Sox, but actually kind of sad. I don't know if you've heard, but the Oakland A's are officially moving out of Oakland.
That's right.
They are going to be playing in Sacramento until their new stadium in Las Vegas is built.
Right.
It's a minor league stadium, actually, that they're taking over. And they're just going to be called the A's. There's no city attached to them. They'll just be the A's in the standings. So it's going to be the last time. This was the last time that the Sox played the Oakland A's. And who knows what the future, I don't know if they're going to change the name.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will for when they make the move. But the Oakland A's will be no more on the Red Sox schedule.
They start out in Philadelphia, went to Kansas City, and went to Oakland.
And now they're Sacramento
off
and
again.
now out of Vegas. They're the vagrants.
There was a period, though, in the late 80s when we couldn't beat them.
Oh,
I remember in
Oh,
88,
God.
Roger Clemens got thrown out of a playoff
He
game
did,
against
yes,
them.
arguing. Yeah, right. That was the McGuire, Canseco, and Dave Stewart, who the Sox could never, ever hit. Remember that guy? And they had some powerhouse teams. It's really kind of sad that what's happened to that team, because that could be a really fun place if they
Except
if they
the
invested
stadium
in it.
is the second worst in
Well,
the
that's the thing. They need a new
terrible
stadium.
place.
Yeah,
It's a football stadium.
it is.
And there's about a mile and a half of foul territory.
Yeah, right. It's an
And
enormous pitcher's
when we
park.
went to visit it, there's barbed wire around most of the park.
Yeah, it's not in a great part of Oakland, is it?
There's
Yeah.
a subway stop right where the gate is, but you don't cruise around the park like you do in Pittsburgh or someplace.
Right, yeah.
So A's no more. We played them for the last time.
Last time.
Yep. And I have one weird thing that just happened 2 days ago. The Red Sox threw a shutout against
Rockies.
Rockies. It was the 12th shutout the Sox have had this year.
Already
Now,
12.
look at what we say about the Red Sox pitching. Red Sox
Right.
pitching. No other team has 12 shutouts.
Right, yeah. That's an amazing amount in this
What's
day
up
and
with
age.
that?
I don't know. They have days where everything
It
clicks, I guess.
doesn't
I
make
don't know.
sense, though.
Yeah.
You have 12 shutouts
And
and,
then-
the pitching
And
staff.
then you give up 20 the next day.
That's
So you go
right.
from 0 to 20. So go figure that one out. And the last tidbit here is we have to give a shout out and a congratulations
Right.
to Joe Castiglione, who was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame this past weekend. He was honored with the Ford Frick Award for broadcasting excellence.
That's
He'd been nominated in the past but not chosen. This was his year. He was elected. He had a 12-minute speech, I think it was. And just some little tidbits about him. I'm sure if you listen to him, you know that he went to Colgate University. He talks about that all the time. And his first broadcasting job was actually in Youngstown, Ohio, for a minor league football team.
Really?
And minor league baseball team. His first major league gig was actually with the Indians in '79.
When did he start with the Sox?
He started with the Sox in '83, which was my very formative Red Sox years when he was still with Ken Coleman at that point, if you remember.
Sure.
The first memories, Ken Coleman and Joe Castiglione coming to you from the West Coast.
So he was there with the Sox for 40 years.
Yes, 40 years. Is that amazing?
Imagine that.
Yeah, he's 77. He's been there for 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? And think of all the partners he's been through since Ken Coleman.
And he never had to keep drinking water to keep his voice good.
Yeah, right. Unlike us. So, and he has sort of he has probably the most iconic call in Red Sox history when they won the World Series in '04. And his catchphrase became, "Can you believe it?"
Yep.
Because he said that for the first time in 86 years, the Red Sox have won the World Championship. Can you believe it? And ever since then, that's been, like the other day against the Yankees we were talking about, becomes a "can you believe it" moment. So, yeah, we have to give a congrats to Castig, and it's pretty rare that a broadcaster lasts 40 years. I mean, there are not a lot in
I
history
just
who've done
thought of
that.
it. Who was the guy that caught the ball to end the game?
In in '04?
Yeah.
Folk stabs it.
No, but who did he throw it to?
Minkiewicz, right?
You know where Minkiewicz came from?
The Twins. What?
Oh, okay, I get the wrong guy.
What?
Never mind.
Never mind. Folk throws it. Yeah, he stabs it. He throws it over, and the Sox with. Yeah, it was.
I was thinking he came from the Mariners.
No,
Somebody on the Mariners. Oh, I know who was the shortcop. Came from the Mariners. Clemens struck out.
Oh, Spike Owen.
Spike Owen.
Spike Owen came.
Spike Owen was struck out by Clemens in '86,
And then came back to the-
Came
yes.
back and played with them in
That's right.
the World Series.
And Dave Henderson was with them.
That's right.
Too.
That's
They
right.
got Spike and Henderson.
Two of the guys that
Right.
he's fan end up on his team.
Yeah, go figure, right?
That's cool,
Yeah,
though.
I know.
That's cool.
So, yet another Red Sox Hall of Famer we can add to the list, even though it's not a player. So that was pretty cool to watch.
So that's
yeah,
a whole bunch of tidbits.
a lot of
Whole
tidbits
bunch of
for
tidbits.
you. So.
See if you remember any of those, or they'll stick with you.
Yeah.
All right, now, again, I need to explain to the first-time viewers what we've been doing for 3-4 years now. Is we've been to so many games. We thought we would share with the people our Fenway memories.
Right.
And there's just so many things that have happened.
You never know what you're going to get when you go to a game.
Some are
You never
funny,
know.
some are sad, some are weird,
Yeah.
some are record holders. But we decided to pick one for the first time,
A shared
a
memory.
shared memory. This is a game that we were both at, and it needs telling.
Yes, it does.
Because it was an amazing afternoon. Let me start out by saying the game was in the bleachers.
Yes.
And the bleachers used to be very different in 1990 than they are in 2024.
Yeah.
First of all, the people that were in the bleachers were paying about $4 a ticket.
Yeah, it was.
They were there not primarily for the game.
They
They used to throw beach balls around. And one time they threw a blow-up doll around.
Yes, if you know what we mean.
And after that, they had to have a guard on the roof with a telescope,
make sure things were-
binoculars, to make sure there weren't R-rated things happening.
And
in the
there
bleachers.
were illicit substances that were passed back and forth, if you get my drift. In fact, even the ushers used to smoke up cigars back then. Remember they used to smoke in the bleachers?
Archie
Archie
used to
was
he was 112 years old, and he walked back and forth.
with his cigar.
It didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. He just said, "Hey Archie, how you doing?"
Okay, so here's our memory. We went to a Saturday afternoon game in June, and they were playing Baltimore. And we had seats in the second row or first row?
Second row.
Second row.
Yes.
Right in front of us.
And this is the year that Baltimore was horrible. They lost their first 21 games that year. Baltimore was just Fred Lynn was on that team, by the way.
They had the two Ripkins.
Yes.
And that was about it.
That was about it, yeah.
So sitting in front of us were two blonde, I must have been high school cheerleaders at one point.
I don't think they could legally drink yet.
They were, I would guess they probably went to BU.
Probably.
And come to see the game. They might have been from Baltimore.
Right.
And they were cute, little blondes.
They were decked out in the orange Orioles jerseys.
They had brand new orange Baltimore uniforms on. And they started drinking beer. And they started getting up and cheering for every Baltimore batter. At first, it started out like, yay, go Billy, go Billy. After 2 beers, Billy, man, go Billy. And by the third inning, they were totally obnoxious and totally wasted. So, of course, all the people in the stands started chucking stuff out.
We were very sympathetic in the bleachers.
We started out with just peanuts.
Peanut shells.
Peanut shells.
And we were seated directly behind them.
Yep.
And the bleachers, the years of sitting in the bleachers gave these people extraordinary aim because we never were hit. They went right over our heads and hit.
Someone went out onto the field.
Yeah,
but
right. We never got
hit. And at first they thought it was fun.
Right.
They were getting attention, people throwing things at them. But by the time the 5th inning came around, they were sloshed. They were very loud. And one of them screamed out at one point, "Go Worthington, baby!"
Now,
they didn't know his first name was Craig, so they called him Worthington Baby.
Go Worthington, baby.
And I looked at her and he said, "Worthington Baby?" And she turned around and looked at me and she says, "What are you, 50? I said, "Yeah."
Almost. Pretty close. Yeah. So as the game went on, the projectiles graduated from peanut shells to paper airplanes that were dipped in beer and wadded up paper that had been dipped in beer.
Well, what they would do is they took the programs, ripped the page out, dipped it in beer, and flung it at them.
And again, we never were hit. Everyone was a direct shot
They
right
were
at them.
totally covered with it.
They were covered
and
in
they
beer
started
paper.
to cry. So we had zero sympathy.
Of course,
everybody was
laughing.
laughing.
Of course we throw more stuff at them when they start crying.
Worse, they cried. So finally, an usher came over, and this was great. Made the move for being a disturbance, and they had to go sit somewhere else.
They went and sat out behind the bullpens for the whole rest of the game. We could still see the orange jersey, but they moved them over about 7 sections so that they weren't
and they were completely soaked
anymore.
and weeping.
They're covered in beer, drenched and crying and drunk. It may have been the first time they ever drank beer. I mean, I do not think they were legal drinking.
And I don't think they realized the influence it might have, on the people around
when
them.
you cheer for the opposition in the bleachers.
I don't remember what happened in the game, but I didn't care.
I didn't care either.
It was such a riot.
Like you said, the crowd was a little different in the late 80s and early 90s out in the bleachers, folks. It was not friendly Fenway like it is now.
Well, it was for Red Sox
Well,
fans.
for Red Sox fans, it was. And it was not Archie that moved them. Archie was at his post. It was a different.
It was a cop came
It was a
up.
cop came up that moved. Yeah, Archie did not move. The cop says, "You guys have to move. You're causing a disturbance."
And we could see better because there were vacant seats in front of us,
Right.
although they were wet.
Yeah. Yes, they were. From tears and beer.
Yeah.
So that's our Fenway memory. You never know what you're going to run into at the park, and sometimes it's not the game. It's it's the stands. You never know what's going to happen.
It's just a great place to have a good time.
It sure is.
Bleachers aren't like that anymore, but they were fun days.
Oh, they were so fun.
days.
They really were.
Okay, there are 3 people we'd like to isolate at this point who have had notable seasons or notable occurrences. And the first one is Jaron Duran, who is, in my eyes, turning into a superstar.
Oh, yep,
as you're
MVP
watching.
candidate. Yep.
But this is an interesting fact about him. He's the first American League player to have the following stats before the All-Star game. First one, 10 homers, 100 hits, 10 triples, and 20 stolen bases.
It's amazing
That's
season.
never been done by an American League player.
Yep.
It was done in 2008 by Jose
Reyes of the Mets,
in
yes.
the National League.
I knew. Yeah, he was the first one. But think of how well-rounded a player you have to be to accomplish that. To have the power and the speed and the discipline.
that many hits.
Yeah.
Because home run hitters don't usually get a lot of hits.
Right, they strike out a ton, and
of course the triples. I can say at this point right now he has 12. American League record with the Red Sox is 15.
Oh, that's going down.
It's in hand.
It is in hand. So he's been playing like an MVP candidate, and the thing, he's been clutch too. He's had some really, really big hits for them, which and actually we'll get to one in a little bit.
Okay, the second one is Rafi Devers. Had 1,000 hits before the age of 28. 1,000 before. Only 5 other Red Sox players have ever done that. Tris Speaker, Bobby Doerr, Kyle Yastrzemski, Jim Rice, and Xander Bogaerts. And 4 of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So that's. I think they did the wise thing by extending him and giving him the long-term contract, because if you remember, there was a debate: who are they going to sign, Devers, Bogaerts, or a pitcher or something? Oh, they gave Devers the long-term deal. It turns out that's been the right move so far.
And the third one is an enemy.
Yes,
but this
but
happened.
Still notable.
But it was still notable.
Yeah.
A fellow named Ben Rice was just brought up to the Yankees and played against us, and hit leadoff because they've been having all kinds of trouble finding a leadoff batter that can get on in front of Soto and Judge. He hit 3 home runs in a game against the Red Sox. It's the first rookie in 125 years for the Yankees to hit 3 home runs in a game.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Imagine that.
And they call him the Cohasset Kid because he played in Cohasset. He's a local guy.
He's also only the 3rd leadoff batter ever to do it.
Right. So if when I remember when it happened, nobody was really upset. They said, "That's a Yankee, but it's kind of cool that a local guy is the first ever to do it."
Right.
Nobody was really
From
upset.
Cohasset.
Oh, good for him.
Which is a very wealthy town.
Yes. So that's a little praise for the enemy there, a rare praise from us.
And the only 2 other leadoff batters were Andrew McCutchen.
Oh, yeah.
2009.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And get this, Mike Yastrzemski
Ah,
for the
that's
Giants.
right. He was leadoff when he did that.
That's
huh?
right. Yes, right.
Oh, yeah. McCutchen. Yeah, that's right. I forgot McCutchen did
And
it. Yeah.
the only 2 I could find, I guess there might be more, but the only 2 Red Sox rookies I could find that ever did it were Fred Lynn and Trot Nixon.
I knew Lynn and Trotty were they were the only ones.
Might be, I don't know. They might have
Maybe
been some
further back.
Further
but
back.
Yeah, I knew Lynn and Trotty did it. Yeah. So.
Okay, so we've arrived at the truck answers.
The truck answers. Okay, let's
So
see.
take a look at them.
All righty. Now, this guy right here, I believe that is Dave Stapleton. Ah, it is Dave Stapleton.
Good for you.
Yeah, okay. So, Dave Stapleton, as we know, has a little place in Red Sox lore.
Yes.
In the 86 series, the controversial move not to put Stapleton in for defense in place of Bill Buckner in the 86 Game 6. Now, little aside here, okay? Little tangent here. Yes, it's correct that Stapleton should have been in the game at that point, but what should have happened is, if you remember, in the 8th inning of the Game 6 of the World Series, the Sox had a 5-3 lead. The bases were loaded and Buckner was coming up. And the Mets brought in Orozco, who was absolute death to left-handed hitters. And Buckner was up, and they had Baylor and Romero and Armas all available to pinch hit. He let Buckner hit. Buckner flew out, killed the rally. The Mets tied it and went ahead. Buckner should have been out of that game in the 8th inning, not the 10th. He should have been pinch hit for him.
And the manager's explanation of why he let Buckner in, he wanted the starters to be on the field to celebrate.
Sorry, you don't celebrate till it's over. I'm sorry.
It ain't over till it's over.
And you know, of course, you know, Mookie Wilson says he would have beaten the play. He probably would have anyway, but still, that's Dave Stapleton's place in Red Sox lore.
It would just tie the game.
Exactly, it was already tied. So yeah, but yeah, that's and interesting. Dave Stapleton, and another oddity, his batting average went down every year in his career. If you look it up, I think he played 6 or 7 years. His batting average just went right down every year.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
He was never a great player.
No, he was a utility sort of guy. Yeah.
Okay, my guy was one of the. he's like a Billy Goodman guy. Pete Runnels is his name. It actually isn't. It's James Runnels.
James Runnels.
But
really?
they called him Pete. I have
Really?
no idea why.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
James
That's
Runnels.
cool. Oh.
And in my card collection, he's in the 52 set with the Senators, where
Yes.
you got him first, and it says James Runnels. He came to the Red Sox, and he became Pistol Pete.
Yeah, Pistol Pete.
And Pistol Pete won 2 American League batting titles playing on a team with Ted Williams.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
And he could play first or second, which
That's
would
his
made
good
him a valuable
combination,
player.
yeah, yeah.
Not a power hitter,
Yeah, right.
but just a steady ball player.
In the days of the all hit, no pitch Red Sox.
Right.
In that era. Oh, that's right. So we're 2 for 2
So
with,
2
the,
for 2.
with the truck.
We beat
All
the
right.
truck.
Yes, we
Ta-da.
beat the truck today. All right. Yes. So
right.
heading into what we have next is, as you know, this is the middle of July, and that always brings us to the All-Star Game,
Right.
which it can be good or bad depending on your opinion of exhibition games. But the Red Sox did have representation in the game. Devers was chosen, but did not make the trip because he had a shoulder injury, so he chose not to play in the game.
Maybe.
But maybe.
Oh,
But
there's many times when stars have opted
just
out.
opted out for whatever reason. And then,
Just quick.
yeah.
You know what they actually get for being in the game?
What do they do? What do they get?
Every player gets $25,000 for making the team.
Really?
Every player gets $10,000 if they wear a microphone.
Really? They get money.
$117 per diem for food. $1,000 for spending money, and transportation is gratis.
Really?
And also, a lot of them, I'll say this
Yeah.
later when we get to something else. So they actually do have a financial compensation
Sure,
for the
yeah,
trouble.
right.
Now, to judge, these figures are.
I was going to say that's one game
That's
for
a
Judge
tip,
right there.
tip
yeah.
for a waitress.
Yeah,
you know.
right. 117 in food. That's like an appetizer for these guys.
So the All-Star Game started, just quick, 1933. It was started by Arch Ward of the Chicago Tribune to coincide with the Chicago World's Fair.
Right,
It was
right.
just a quickie exhibition game
Yeah.
to draw more people to the fair.
Yeah.
And it went over so well that they've continued it for 95 years. Only 2 years they didn't have it. 4 years they had 2 games.
Right.
So I think this was the 93rd game they
yes,
played.
right.
And what's interesting about it is the first game, managers picked 15 players from each team.
Right. It was all
That's all it
managers.
was.
Right.
Since then, they tried to work the fans in. And I have always objected to that.
Right,
because
I
the
agree.
fans only vote for their own
For
players.
the big names and their own players.
So-
Exactly. Yeah.
And at times now that you can do online, you can just sit there, dunk, dunk,
Right.
dunk, dunk,
100 votes a
vote as many
day.
times as
Right,
you want.
right.
But we thought we'd show you what it was like in 1990. Here's a picture of a 1990 ballot.
Which we have right here. We actually have a couple examples right here from 1990, if you can believe
Okay?
it.
That's what it
there
looked
you go.
like.
That's what it looks like.
There was a player picked from every team for every position.
And 3
See that?
outfielders.
And 3 outfielders.
Right.
No pitcher.
Right.
But so you could vote for 8 players.
Right.
And vote all your own team,
Yep.
which we often did.
Yeah, and there was a little ball next to the player's name, and you punched it out.
You punched it out.
It was a little punch-out hole.
And you had to be careful about hanging chads,
You're
Florida.
right.
No Florida players were allowed
and,
to.
Yeah, no. And they had a little, they had like almost like a little kiosk at the park.
That's right.
And you could drop your ballot
was a
right in the
ballot
little
box.
slot. It was like a mail slot. Just drop it right
Just
in.
like people vote in the national elections.
Exactly, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
So our tactic, of course, when we were going to the park and filling these out.
Well, first, what would happen is the
Oh, yeah.
usher would come down the
that's right,
rows
that's right.
with a pilot and pass out enough for the row, and go on, pass enough for the row, or you can go back and bag a whole bunch of them if you wanted to.
We never did that.
No, never.
And half the time the guy sitting next, I don't care, you're gonna have mine. So you could stack some votes pretty well. By
And
the
there
time
were always
the
some
game was over.
Poindexters who go through and pick out, well, I think his stats are a little better than his stats. So carefully pick out all the real All-Stars.
Yeah, right.
But we just voted for all the Red Sox.
Right. So our tactic was we vote for all the Red Sox, but when it came to we wanted the American League to win the All-Star game. So when it came to the National League, we voted for guys who we'd never heard of before. Who is this guy? Oh my God! We're not gonna we're not gonna vote for Ozzie Smith. We're gonna vote for the worst guy on the ballot.
We don't have bonds to play.
We don't forget Bonds, forget Ozzie. So this is our, as I put my readers on, These are the players that we voted for on this ballot in 1990 from the National League. See if you remember some of these names. We voted for R. Jordan from the Phillies, B. Lyons at catcher. Not Steve Psycho Lyons. There was a different Lyons that caught for the Mets, believe it or not. I don't know who that is. R. Ramirez for the, I don't know how many Ramirez's there are, but we did throw a vote for Jose Oquendo, though, who was known for playing all 9 positions in one game. You might remember him. And E. Anthony. I mean, if these names ring a bell, you're bigger fans of the National League than we are, because we just intentionally.
But there was one particular fellow.
That appeared
year after year who we always voted for.
It was a catcher for the Cubs named R. Wilkins. And the first year he was on the ballot, we just laughed. Who is this R. Wilkins? Who in the world? Every single ballot we put R. Wilkins in. Stacked the ballot for R. Wilkins.
We were hoping he'd win.
We were hoping he'd win, so we would actually, the Cubs would have some horrible catcher playing for the National League. And lo and behold, I looked it up. He actually did hit 30 home runs one year.
Really?
Yeah, he had one fantastic year with the Cubs.
Well,
Maybe it was because of us. I don't know. Our undying support for his All-Star campaign, propelled him to a 30-homer season. But R. Wilkins was our ultimate go-to voter for the National League.
So here's the one moment that was classic for us.
For us.
And the dream year is to get introduced 5 different times in the year. Opening day, here in the All-Star game, and then 3 rounds of the postseason. So that 5th one is when 2 teams represent the World Series. Here's a high fly ball off of the bat of Jaron Duran. That one will leave the yard and give the American League its first lead of the night. Boy, this dream season for Jaron Duran continues here with a home run in the All-Star game. There's a man that has power and speed, a lot of speed. The Boston Red Sox got really athletic with their lineup. It's why they're succeeding. And he's going to be a huge part of the success in the second half. When he gets on base, look out.
So, you see, Duran not only made the team, which they didn't think he was going to do, but became the MVP.
Right? How often does that happen?
How often is that kind of thing going to occur?
Yes.
So instead of talking about the game, though, what we thought we'd do is take what we think are pros and cons about the All-Star game.
Right. Yeah. So,
I'll take my 3 pros first.
okay, do the pros first? Okay.
First, it's a break for the other players. They need it.
100%.
Second, it's a terrific promotion for the sport, because a lot of people will watch it that wouldn't watch regular games.
I have that too.
And some players do have contract incentives.
They do, yes. Yeah, right.
Even if they make the team, and some are considerable.
Right. That's not considered like a performance thing.
No,
that's an actual thing built into a
incentive
contract.
because it's built into it.
Right.
So those are my 3 positives.
So my positives are, tying into this a little bit, I like that they have given the players some voting rights, because the players know more than anyone who should be on the All-Star team. It's not just fan-driven anymore.
Right.
I 100% like that. The promotion, tying into that, this sort of goes hand in hand with it, is that some people don't like the home run derby. I think it's cool that they mic the players up and you get to know the personalities of some of the big names.
They get $10,000 more.
Right? Yeah, get for $10,000. But to people who don't watch the game a lot, I think it's really cool to see that they're not just robots. They're actually cool people who hang out and get along with the other
they have
players.
families.
And they root for each other, and they bring their families on the field. I think that's cool. I like that. And the third thing I like is, how do you not like Big Papi doing the pre and post game? I mean, come on. Papi is a job he was built for after baseball. Right. Absolutely love it.
Okay, for my cons, and I think these are serious ones, why don't they let the players wear their own uniforms?
Ah, that's one of mine too. That is on my list.
Those uniforms, they would have embarrassed a softball team. And I know the truck is not going to be happy with me. Yeah. The American League wore pink. Pink. Yeah. I may be halt and I may be blind, but they look damn pink to me.
I expand you. I agree. I like.
Maybe I was seeing pink elephants, but I hated that.
I agree with you on that.
Second, there's way too many players. I think they're up to 36 now per team.
And those are just the ones that accept. You know, there are other people like Devers who don't go.
There's too many players. So they bat them in and out. You don't even know who's playing. And the game per se means nothing at all.
It's an exhibition game.
It's an exhibition game.
I actually, Tyrod, I had the uniforms as my top one too. Just wear your team uniform. Just like they used to. I hate to be that guy about superficial about uniforms, but I just go with the old ones.
They were awful.
And tying into I hate when they have the starters come in and they play for 1, maybe 2 innings. Have the starters go at least most of the game. That's who people want. Those are the stars. I don't think the Rockies fans are going to get worked up if Ryan McMahon doesn't get in the game for an at-bat. I mean, you vote in the superstars. That's who you want to see, and that's who you're trying to promote.
And the part of the game that counts is the end.
Okay, right.
So why not start the starters in the 6th inning?
Right. Yeah.
Let the good ball players play when it counts.
Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Yeah. I agree with this. So that I agree 100% on all your
way too left wing for Major League. Way too left wing.
Way too left wing.
Okay, so that's the All-Star game.
Yeah.
It's time for Stump Jason.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, we're getting towards the end of the show here. Look at that.
We've got a few things more.
Yeah.
And it ties in with that. Before Duran, there were 4 Red Sox who were the All-Star Game All-Stars. MVPs.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
They'll come back.
Before that, we have to stop for a visit from Sully.
Okay.
And so many people, again, haven't been watching what we've been doing here. Sully started doing some ads. We found him in the gutter, and he had some great ads about Revere. So last season he did some ads.
We've added a guest panel.
And when we discovered that he also was a big baseball fan, we invited him to come in if we could find him, or we could spring him to come in and do a little talk about his thoughts on baseball.
All right.
So here's Sully. Folks, we're real glad to have Sully visiting us today. Since the last show, he got himself a little bit entangled with Revere law. And we were able to make a special deal with Revere to get him at least to appear on this show.
Yeah.
So here he is.
The ankle bracelet's heavy today, folks. Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you.
Yeah.
Does the ankle bracelet itch?
Sometimes, but you kind of got to live with it after a while. You get used to it. You know, it's kind of like when you get pimple on your face or something that's sore. You know, you just kind of live with it and it's there, and you got to deal with it afterwards. My apologies for the I had a rough night the other Taco Tuesday turned into Tequila Tuesday at Tio Franco's. One thing led to another, and I'm a little under the weather today.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. The day came a little too early for Sully.
The weather isn't that good to be under anyway.
No. So apologies about the bright lights and
now,
stuff.
Since they've picked you up again, what sort of labor or work do they make you do during the time you're on parole?
You know when you go down the highway and you see those guys in the vests and stuff like that? That's what I do. I go and I these litter bugs, I tell you, keep your stuff in your car, ladies and gentlemen, please, okay? Because Sully's got to pick up after you, and trust me, you don't want to know some of the things Sully's seen on the side of the road, okay? I mean, it's really bad. So, beep, wave, thank us for doing a good job, and move on. We're paying our debt to society, all right?
I had a question from somebody that watches the show.
Okay.
They wanted to know if you've ever been in a Dunkin' speed eating contest. Because I heard that a guy named Joey Chestnut, who's the hot dog eating man, would like to take you on in a Dunks contest.
Well, I don't know about Dunks, but I do know at the Tia Canara, they used to have 50 cents for dozen wing nights. I polished off 3 dozen buffalo wings in 2 minutes and 48 seconds. That's still the local record, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. So he wants to take me on in buffalo wings? Sully's got something for him. You don't want to know the aftermath the next day, trust me. But at the time, my name's on the wall. It says Sully. No first name, just Sully, 3 dozen wings, 248.
Well,
right here.
Your first name is classified.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah. Oh, the ranch sauce was flying that night, let me tell you. Dunkin', works like milk.
Here's another question for you. Of all the ball players that you've seen, which one of them you think indulged the most in dunks during his career?
Oh, man, I got a couple. I mean, I know John Kruk did. He was, a little before my time, John Kruk. But my favorite, I used to hang out with this guy, Rob Beck. He was a legendary at dunking. I used to have a smoke outside and a coffee one hand and a butt in the other. So what are you doing? He said, I'm training to pitch. I mean, you remember Rod Beck? He was third and he looked like a 50-year-old bricklayer who would kill a thing of Hormel's chili at lunch on his break. You remember that guy? He was a legendary Dunkin's guy. He could kill 3 coffees and 3 parliaments in about a minute and a half.
Well, Kruk would probably be a close second. He was the one I thought you might say.
Yeah, I've only heard from the Philly contingent of dunks. He was never in Boston, so I cannot verify.
Okay. One last question before you get a chance to address your fans.
Yes.
Did you ever catch a ball at Fenway?
I've had a ball at Fenway, but I never caught one. No. They when I'm at Fenway, they kind of isolate me, if you know what I mean. I'm not really allowed in the Gen Pop at Fenway, so I'm sort of behind the railings and stuff. They don't hit too many up where I am. Like where that camera guy is, way up in left field. They make me sit up there with that guy. I'm friends with him. Not a lot comes up there, so no.
Well, one game I was at, I asked for you, and no one. You managed to get around without being pretty anonymous.
I'm pretty slick. I'm pretty slick. I keep it under wraps. You said the Chelsea District Court has tentacles everywhere. If you know what I mean. I got to keep the low profile. So.
Well, we got a couple of minutes left. Anything you'd like to say? You building up quite a fandom.
Yeah. I'm going to take the sunglasses off of this one. Let me tell you. We got these people at Nesson. They always kick it to like Jemai Webster down in the field, or they kick it to some. I got something. How about we kick it to the players' wives during the games? Because I want to know the players' achievements on the field and off the field, if you know what I mean. All right? Say, let's kick it to, Tanner Houck's wife. Let's see what, Tanner's bringing home for everyone. You know what I mean? It gets the casual fans in. You get some eye candy. You get a good game. And we're all go home happy. You know what I mean? So let's get the players' wives involved in these Nesson interviews, everyone, okay? And if it's not a wife, it's a girlfriend, then, that's good enough for Sully. You know?
Like Middlebrooks took one home forever.
Good for him. Yeah, good for him. Jenny Dell, he could do a lot worse than that. Let me tell you. See, there's romance on Nesson. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's a dating service and eye candy. See, 2 in 1.
Okay, well, always great to talk to Sully.
It's good to see you,
so
man.
refreshing, man.
Good to see you, man. All right, we'll see you all next month.
And stay out of parole.
And go Sox and drink your dunks.
And if you can get the bracelet off.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm trying.
So long, folks.
And we're back. And we've been told that there actually are 4. There are 4 who have won the MVP in the All-Star game. That's the question.
That's right. It's 4 more.
Before
That's
Duran.
Right. I'm sorry. Duran was the 5th.
Duran was 5, so there are 4 prior to Duran. Okay,
so
let's see.
So.
All right. So
okay. So it's not time for you to answer yet.
Oh, all right. Well, think about it then.
We get just a quick thing. We're going to talk about Harry Frazee.
Yes. So
Harry Frazee was the owner of the Red Sox, who infamously sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees and has gone down in infamy because of it, because Babe Ruth turned out to be the superstar of baseball forever.
Right.
And we ended up in the basement for years and years and years.
Right. And so this is how perceptions change over time. So Harry Frazee, for those of you who don't know, had a background in Broadway. He was independently wealthy. He was a backer of Broadway shows. And that's how he came to buy the Red Sox in 1916, and the Red Sox were fresh off a couple World Series wins. They won a couple more right after he bought the team.
Right.
But sort of where the infamy starts to happen is after the 1919 season when, as you said, he sold Babe Ruth. Now, at the time, again, this is then, not how people have distorted how things happen over the years. At the time, Babe Ruth was a tremendous distraction to the team. He bailed on the team at the end of the year. He refused to pitch. He wanted to be a full-time hitter.
That's right.
He had extraordinary salary demands, and he was a huge clubhouse distraction. So Frazee said he wasn't going to pay Ruth, so the Yankees bought Ruth. And at the time, that was seen as an enormous gamble taken by the Yankees. It was not a unanimous, hey, we got Babe Ruth. It was, oh my God, what did you do with this guy?
Let's take a chance.
Let's take a chance.
They had never won.
Right.
So they take a chance because he was hitting home runs. Now, here's something I don't think everybody knows then. Ban Johnson was the commissioner, and he ruled with an iron fist. And 3 teams rebelled against his rulership. They were the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the White Sox. So the Red Sox could only deal Ruth to the Yankees or the White Sox. And this is something I just found out, which I found extraordinary. They intended to deal Ruth to the White Sox in exchange for Joe Jackson.
Can you imagine if Jackson had come to the Red Sox? Imagine
the deal was all set, and then what happened? The Black Sox scandal, and Joe Jackson was banned from baseball for life. And his only choice was to sell him to the Yankees.
Yep, that was it. Yeah,
there was no intention of selling him to fund a musical.
Right. Yeah.
It was to get rid of a troublemaker for the only team.
That would buy him. Yep. If you look at Frazier's financial records, he was never in financial trouble. The Red Sox were a tiny little piece of his fortune. It wasn't like he was going broke at the time. And also thrown in there is that. And you hate to say it, there was an anti-Semitism thing against Frazier at the time.
Right.
He was not Jewish, but Ban Johnson spread rumors that he was Jewish, and at the time that was not cool in baseball.
They spread rumors that Babe Ruth was part Negro.
Right, exactly. Right. So that was a big deal at the time. Even if Frazier was accused of being Jewish, that got him blackballed.
The post-war prejudice in America after 1918 was extraordinary.
It really was.
The players were called Germany Schaefer and Frenchie Bordigay.
Right. Yep. So that was part of it too. Was just good old-fashioned anti-Semitism against Frazier.
But if we'd had Joe Jackson,
so what happened is this guy named Fred Lieb wrote a series of stories about the history of teams, and Fred Lieb was an enormous supporter of Ban Johnson.
Yep.
And so his account became the account because it was anti-Frazier because he supported Ban Johnson. So, yep.
All right, Jason, can you name the 4 All-Stars MVPs?
I know 3 for sure. I know J.D. Drew.
Right.
Clemens.
Right.
And Yaz.
Right.
Who was the 4th one? Is it Freddie Lynn?
Think 1999.
Oh, 99. Pedro. Pedro was MVP. Yes, that's right.
Good
Pedro.
for you.
I knew Freddie Lynn hit the Grand Slam. I couldn't remember if he won the MVP
hit the Grand Slam
year too.
No, in that game, he might have won it, but not for the Red Sox.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he was not playing for them then.
Right. Oh, that's right. He was already off the Sox then. But yeah, Pedro. That's right.
So good for you.
J.D. Drew was the last Red Sox before Durant the MVP.
And it was the same thing. J.D. Drew barely got into the game,
and he hit a homer at the end. Right?
And Durant barely got into the game. In fact, if you watch that clip carefully, they're not even announcing him.
Well, no,
they didn't say his name.
Well,
they were babbling about something else, and all of a sudden, there's the ball in the stands.
No, Durant was up. Wait a minute.
And they grab their card and say, "Oh, he was good. He's done this."
That ties into the too many players thing. You just so many players coming in and out. Well,
so I guess it's about time to sign off.
We are up against the clock, but we want to give a quick shout out to everyone behind the scenes here.
And what we're going to do next show, we think, is the trade deadline is coming up next week. Be kind of fun to go through all the trades and give our high water marks and low water marks to teams' deals.
Right. And 2 days ago, it was announced that Alex Cora has been extended for 3 years. So we'll tackle that next show. We didn't want to do it today. And we have a picture of the guys in the truck right now. Here they are. Those are our guys behind the scenes. We couldn't do it without you guys. Anyway, this middle of July, the Sox are in the playoff hunt solidly. We'll see if they're sellers or buyers in the next week or so. Yep. And hopefully they'll still be in the hunt when we see you next month.
So here's 110 years of baseball watching, signing off till next time.
Take care. See ya.
Take care. See you anon.
The ball game, take me out with the crowd. Buy me something of that Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's one who respect around and behold. ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back that deal. Good for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame.